What are we driving?
Hey, true, baby, that's the track.
You didn't stare and drive on you, didn't you? You got that from me.
Smart ass.
Hey guys, Ron here, and if you follow this channel, you see that I love Volvos. Now, I'm particular to, the boxy 240s, 850s, and now, my current S90. But today we're going to be going back a little bit. I'm really lucky to have this opportunity to review this 1972 Volvo P1800E. It has been originally owned off the showroom floor. We're right here in upstate New York where it was purchased, and I got to tell you, this car is beautiful. It has all of those check boxes. If you're a car guy, it passes the look back, right? And they say if you park your car and you're walking away, if you don't look back at your car, you don't really love it. You're not a car guy. But this car checks that box. And the great thing is that even with the COVID pricing, it is still relatively affordable. We're talking clean examples for $30,000, $50,000, $60,000, even though this car initially debuted right next to the E-Type, the Jaguar E-Type, which has now reached astronomical pricing, right, for $300-500 million examples of Jaguar E-Types. Yet a lot of the styling, a lot of the handling, and all of these characteristics are nearly identical. One is Volvo and one is Jaguar. But let's talk a little bit about this example. We're going to go through the styling. It was originally conceived in the late 50s. Designed by Pell Peterson and of the Gias side. They had a hard time finding a builder for this, right? They couldn't find a manufacturer, and it was really a struggle to see if this car would be produced. And it wasn't until the 60s that they were able to create a unibody. They were able to find assembly for it and eventually build this car that was very successful. It was often seen in pop culture. So we have Roger Moore in The Saint. He had a white example coupe. And it was really just a beautiful example of styling in the 60s and 70s. Now, this particular model is, I would say, on the later end of the run. It stopped production in 1973. They never produced a convertible, but they did have a shooting brake, a wagon with a big glass rear bubble, which was really cool. But this particular car, is just the coupe. And this one has 130 horsepower. It is a four-wheel disc brakes, fuel injected. So it really represented the peak of technology at the time. Not the quickest. We're still talking 0 to 60 in about 9.5 seconds. But it is a fun manual car. This is a 4-speed with overdrive. And so we're going to walk through a lot of these different features on what you should look for really in a really fun and interesting car. Everything on this car is just really cool for me. I mean, look at this original grille here, right? This is the same double spoke slats that are on my 2018 Volvo S90. All of the current gen Spa architecture still uses this double slat grille. We have this Volvo logo. Obviously, it's been updated several times, but it's still that original arrow and circular design. So now this bumper is interesting. It is a full chrome, and this was definitely symbolic of the era of the time. But this particular car had an accident, and it was fully restored, but it had a big crease down the middle. This chrome was just split, and it was broken. But this has since been restored, completely, blasted, bead blasted, and re-chromed. But this is the original bumper, despite the accident. Really iconic headlights. I think that the round headlights for the generation are really symbolic of, the Healys, the Triumphs, the Austins, and it really is just like a proper sports car. Here we have some big blocky amber turn signals. I think this was my style. Let's white these out. That's definitely a modern trend. Let's talk a little bit about the wheels, right? These are really emblematic. Again, simple steel wheels. These are 185/70 15s, so very, very small wheels, narrow tires. But again, there's not a lot of power, and so you don't really need a ton of traction. Let's look at that body line. It is just a really beautiful car. It comes up from the bottom. It has a high waistline. You can see that this is a very sleek, aerodynamic design. manual mirrors. This one typically doesn't drive with the antenna. It's removed, but it is original with the car. All new glass. We have a functional vent here, right? So this is really nice. You don't have fake vents back in the 60s. They're only putting on things that are fully functional. You can get the signal indicators. It's kind of hard to show up in this light. There you can see them kind of flashing. You just get an indicator handle, but you have to reach your hand in and you pull it back to open the door. Again, manual crank windows, that's going to be normal. Tilt adjust for some diverting cooling airflow. These all work great, and then they lock. You do have two very tiny rear seats here. Not a lot of room for anything but small children or adults with no legs. So even in this car, the headroom is kind of surprising. I think it is because it's that coupe with no sunroof. It's a very thin roof, but I'm about 6 feet tall, and I've got some hair, volume, the humidity today, but I'm just barely contacting the headliner, and it's really not that bad of a seating position. I've got plenty of room for my legs. The door's close to my elbow, but I'm not complaining because I want that sports car environment. Another nice safety feature for a car made in 1972 is the standard shoulder belt, and it's got this nice release here. Works well. Let's see if we can get a little bit of that pep. It's not meant to be a straight line car, but it is nice if it has a little bit of power. So we'll give it a go up this hill here. Give it the beans. So as you're cruising, we're at 45 miles an hour with overdrive. The engine's only turning at 2,000 RPM. Now that was a tough uphill for this little engine. It's a little engine that could, but it runs to the red line. And I think that's fun. It doesn't need to have a ton of power as long as the engine likes to run to its limits. It likes to run to capacity. That's what you see a lot of days with these little Honda motors, Toyota. They just create little units that love to run freely to their limits. And that's what's fun. Driving a slow car fast, that's what this is. And I don't have a problem with the lack of power. 130 horsepower. Easy to heel toe, actually. Just beautiful engine noises. You feel really part of this car. What a treat to drive.
So nice and clean.
So clean. Included in this car is just a ton of automobile history original to the purchase, and it's just really cool. So, let's take a look. We have the original owner's manual referencing that shooting brake style. We have some pictures. Original car coming home. You can see just really how excited they are when they purchase this. There's just a lot of neat things that come with this car. Well, that wraps up this tour of the Volvo P1800E. I really love this car. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a little more power than your MGs or your other 100 horsepower variants. At 130, this car really can give it the go, but that's it. Drop a comment if you guys have any questions about this car, and subscribe if you like the content. We'll see you next time.